Hi everyone, Shaz here. I just stopped in to show you about our new monogram feature that we have in our design space. It came in 7.10.163. And I'm just going to go to my projects because I've actually written you some instructions for what you do when you're looking at a monogram, and sometimes they have it'll have the first name, then it'll have the first name initial, then it'll have the last name initial, and then it'll have the middle name initial or second name as you might know it. So it usually has the first name, it'll have the surname, and then it'll have the middle name. Well, I've got some instructions here that I've put down so that you don't get too confused about which way you should have it. I'm just going to go to customize, and I haven't actually put a monogram down on there yet. But what I wanted to do is just to go through this little part with you and then go down and choose a monogram to make. So now we've got our monograms here down in the action menu on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to just perhaps zoom out here a little bit. And I've written this down for you so that you could then distinguish which way you wanted your monogram to go. Because if it is just going on to, say, the cuff of a groom's shirt that he's wearing to the wedding, you might just want to have his first initial and his last initial. But this is where the confusion comes in about which way you should have it when you've got three letters there. Okay, so the surname initial is in the middle. Okay, so it's only used if the monogram is to feature a larger center initial, which means that the two on either side are smaller than the one in the middle. All right, and then the order is always the first name initial, then the last name initial, and then the middle name initial. So the monogram would be the first name, the last name, and then the middle name. And this style of monogram is used often for personalizing women's items. Most men prefer the more straightforward, the block style with the two initials, first and last, like I just said before. But a larger center surname initial the style is almost always used for joint or couple monograms, such as her first name initial would go to the left, the surname would go in the middle, and then his initial for the first name would go to the right. So I hope that sort of clears up a bit of confusion as to which one comes first. Most people just think that it's an American thing and that they always have their surname initial in the middle, but it's not always like that at all. This is the etiquette of monogramming, okay? And because most things are personalized these days, and I mean, in the old days, you had to order things in, so you needed to get it right, okay? So if you're just having normal letters all in a row where they are all the same size, I'm just going to go down to our monogram feature down here and then bring that up. And then I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so now that we've got the monogram maker open, all right, I've got my initials here, SAR, that's Sharon Ann Richardson. Okay, and so you've got a classic look here where you can then just choose whichever, textile that you like. Now, as I was saying earlier, the one with the R in the middle means that is my surname. That is a bigger letter than the other two. That shows you that is my surname that is in the middle rather than my middle name that's in the middle. You can see it's SAR there and SAR there, there, and there. But over on here, you've got S and then the big R and then the small a, okay? So that distinguishes what I was saying before, that the initial for the surname is only put in the middle when it is the surname that is done for the larger letter in the center, okay? So we've got the modern down here. So these are the different textiles that you can have. So there's quite a few there. There's some there for writing only. And then it's got the cutting out of your either iron-on or in vinyl. So that's why you've got the scissors and the pens there. When you're using the pen one as well, you can also use the foil transfer tool with that. And then you've got elegant looking textiles as well. And you've also got some frames here that you can then put them in. So if you wanted, say, a frame like that, you could put it in. You've got your diamonds and, you know, whatever it is that you want to put it in, you can then use those. You've got your textiles down here as well. You've got quite a few that are down here. There's a couple of writing ones, but most of those ones are for vinyl or iron-on. And then you've got handwritten down here. So these are the ones that are more in your cursive style, I guess you could say. And you've got ones that are in, you know, your italic as well, or you can have them straight. You can then put the frame around it, whichever thing that you like. And then, of course, when you click on your drawing, you're then going to get a drawing of what this would look like, your frame, rather than in a cut style. Okay, so it would draw those frames out. And then you've got your vintage here. So this would be like your 1970s type look of font. And then you can put it into a frame, as I said earlier. But you can also come down here and draw these ones. You can see how nicely that draws out, and then you could put that in, say, one of these frames as well. Okay, so you have those. Then the next thing we've got is the thematic over here. You've got your operation type up the top, so you can either cut and draw or you can cut. And then with your botanicals here, that gives you your all your flower background, as in your you know, that you can do in your print and cut. I guess you could do that, or you can do it in drawing as well. So you got your drawing here. This would be like you would put onto, even on a handkerchief or something, would look nice on there. And then you've got your vinyl or your iron-on here with this one. That looks more like a tulip type look. And then you've got your decorative looks as well. And you've got all your fonts that are along here, as well as your frames that they go into. See, and then you can just add whatever it is that you want to your canvas. Okay, so there's tags and all sorts of things that are in here. Like this one here is very sort of very decorative, this one. And then, of course, when it's a decorative one like that, it then chooses whether it's going to be 3 letters or 1 letter, or you know, the just the S and the R, or just the R on its own. And then you've got occasional ones. So the occasional would be, yeah, like if you had, you know, graduation, or if you've got an engagement, you know, if you needed something for condolences, or you know, that kind of thing. There's a cupcake one there. I mean, they've got so many in here. It's really great that they've got all of these. If you're doing Easter, you could have, like, you know, the monogram there on the on your Easter bunny. You've got ones for Christmas as well. So if you wanted to do some for Christmas, if you wanted to do a bauble and you wanted to put the monogram on a bauble, you could then do that with the, you know, with your fonts along here, and then put them on your Christmas tree. There's a star there as well. So you could have first name, last name, initials there in the star. You've got the snowflakes as well. And then you've got interests that are further down. And these are more like, you know, your things outside of the decorative. So this would be like if you had a nurse and you wanted to put something on monogram for a nurse, you could have this one going along here, or a doctor. That would be a good one. You may have had a party for a little girl and you might want to use, you know, the princess crown, or the butterfly, for instance. If you've got a puppy dog, you might want to put her initial or his initial into the paws there. You've got a favorite hairdresser, you might want to do something where you're putting her monogram initial on the pair of scissors, or you've got a musical friend, you can do it like that and put their last initial on there. Sewing is another one. And then we've got, you know, the reptile lover that loves, you know, tortoises, turtles, that kind of thing, or even the boats or the gardener. Okay, so you've got lots that you can do in that one, and you can change it. See, you can change it to do your the 3 names, initials there, or, you know, just the single, or you might want to do, you know, you might want to put them on some sports things, like, you know, there's a football there. Well, that, I don't think that's not our football, that's the American football, but I guess, you know, you could fill this in here and make it look more like a Sharon football than what it does. It looks like an American football there, but that's not to say that you couldn't fill this in here with a shape and then weld that together, and then you would have more like an Aussie football. You know, you might want to sort of get rid of that point there a little bit, but, you know, you've got a basketball there as well, and you've also got some weightlifting, there's some ice hockey there, baseball there. I'm not sure what this one is. Oh, cheerleader, I think it's a cheerleader. Looks like a cheerleader's, yeah, like those pom-poms that they do. And also we've got soccer there as well. So, you know, your little boy or girl might like to play soccer, and you might want to put something on there. Okay, so any one of those that you could use, going back to your classic, that could be used onto a tote bag. It could be used on your cosmetic bag, or anything that you want to put it on, really. So let's see if we can find something to do. We'll go into the elegant and then the thematic, and we'll go in and find something that is more like your botanicals, maybe with a different font that we would use. Let's see with our fonts if we can go up a little bit, and maybe something like, yeah, like this is nice for drawing or cutting for that matter. There's, if you're going to do it in wood, like I'm going to do one on it's like a box, and it's made out of like a plywood, I guess, a plywood or something like that, then I would use the basswood. But in choosing a monogram for that, I would want to use a frame that would be quite thick around the edges, rather than something that's quite intricate. So bear that in mind about what it is that you're going to cut out. So this one says you can draw and you can cut, but bear in mind how thin the lines are and how far it is that you want to cut. With the letters themselves would be okay, but when it comes to cutting the frame, you want to make sure that, you know, that it is not too thin for you to cut. All right, especially if you're going to be doing it in wood, like you probably wouldn't do something like that in wood because it's too intricate for that. Same with this one, you wouldn't cut that in wood. All right, but you might consider cutting that in vinyl or cardstock, something like that. You may even get away with it with like a faux leather. It just depends on what faux leather that you choose and whether it's paper thin or not. So something like wood, you would probably choose something that's quite simple, something like that. But the lettering on there, you would have to change that to something that's more of a block on its own, even a thicker, let's see, something like that. So that, yeah, even something like that would be good to do on wood. Okay. So then let's just add this one to the canvas. Okay, so here we have it. Now this one is 6.3 by 5.6 centimeters. And I'm just going to make this writing a little bit smaller so it doesn't take up the whole, canvas. If you're going to put this on, say I have a laptop bag, that I have here. It's just a plain everyday laptop bag. It's a Francheville from Spotlight, and it's 34 by 26 centimeters. So then to put that in the center of your laptop bag, you would make sure that you put something within the inside of your laptop bag. So whether it be a piece of thick cardboard, or you would have, let's say if it's not thick cardboard, then you might want to even consider putting like a box type thing in there. And that would be just so that when you're putting it together, and I'm just going to stop the share for a second. Okay, when you're putting this together, you wouldn't want to then have your easy press going over this ridge where your zippers are, or over the ridge where your seam line is. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have that so that you have your easy press in the middle of the bag. Otherwise, you'll find that the heat won't get to the bottom of this. In fact, it'll sit on there and sit on there, and then you'll have a bit of a gap here, and that's why it won't adhere very well. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing that I've got here, so this would be, I would use more of an iron-on on something like this. I would not use premium permanent vinyl on this. I certainly wouldn't use removable on it, but I would use something like an iron-on to go onto this bag. It is made of a like a polyester PU type stuff, and then on the inside of it, it doesn't actually say on the inside what it's made of, but it does have a lining on the inside, and you've got to be careful of the linings on the inside of different things, because if you don't put something in the center, then you're liable to heat this up, and then it melts on the inside and it glues it together. So, and that's not ideal. All right, so I have that one. The next one that I have here is, I've got a makeup bag. This one here, a cosmetic bag. You could do it in Infusible Ink, where you have your monogram here on the actual bag for Infusible Ink. So you can do that either with the pens on copy paper, or you could do it with the actual Infusible Ink sheet, and that would be good to put an iron-on as well. Okay, so there's two different ways that you can use on that cosmetic bag. And then the third thing I got here was for vinyl itself, and that would be for premium permanent vinyl, adhesive vinyl, and you could use it on a little sort of trinket box or something like that. That's just a little trinket box, and you could have the monogram on the heart there on the box in a permanent vinyl. Okay, so they're the three projects that I'm going to do, and I really like the one that I've got there now, so let's go ahead with that, shall we? Okay, so here we have our SAR. Now looking at this, it has in our layers panel to the right hand side, we have our letters, and then we have our motif, and then we have our frame. So the frame is in a different color. I can see that straight up. But if you then go over to your color sync up the top here, you'll be able to see that we have a pink for the frame, and we have our SAR, and we have our motif that's there in the blue as well. Now you can change any of the colors that are there. You could have also gone over to your color box over here, and it would then show you the colors that are up here as well. If you wanted it all the same color, you can change it up there in the color box, or you can come over here to color sync, and you might want to change those lines here and drag those lines, or just the block of color, and you can drag it and put it into the blue there, and then your pink would then change to the blue color. I actually like it with two different colors, so I'm going to leave it as it is. but you've got the choice of whether you're going to do that or not. Now, when I've written these instructions here for your monogram, as in which way you should do the monogram for the lettering that you have, I've actually done that with the guides. So that's not going to go to the mat. It won't be sent to the mat like in days gone by. Anything that we wrote in text would go to the mat, and then you would have to hide it so that it wouldn't go to the mat. But with this, I've actually gone up to our operation, and you can see that it's got the word guide there. The guide is so that you can then write instructions for anything that you do, and they will not go and proceed to the mats to be cut, okay, or drawn, whichever way that you've done it. But if you have it in guide, it will then stay there. If you put it to basic cut like it used to be, then of course it will go to a mat and it will want to cut those letters out on the mat. All right. So now that we have this here, if you wanted to change the basic cut there, you could change that basic cut then to say foil. So you would then go to bold, and then that would give you the foil letters. Or you could even do it on like leather or something like that. You could do it on that as well, okay? But just to know that this is a block letter, and you would have the outside of the block letter, okay? You would not have any colouring in of your block letter, all right? You could deboss it. You could even engrave it, but you would need to make sure that you did that on metal or acrylic, okay? Okay, so this is our monogram. Now, at the moment, I've got this at 14.41 by 5.657, and my laptop bag here is 34 by 26. So you've got a choice of whether you want to then grab yourself a square if you want to see how big this thing is on what your laptop bag's going to look like. You can grab a square there. I've got the one here with the rounded corners, and then you can unlock it, bring it over here somewhere, and you can then unlock it, and I will put the width in as the 34, and my height is 26. Now this is handy if you don't have a measuring tape, and you can arrange and send this to the back. So then you have your design there that's going to go onto the laptop bag. If I wanted it in the center, I would then choose both of those. I would go up to align, and I would align center so that I can see roughly what this is going to look like. Now, would I change the colors here? I probably would change this blue because my laptop bag is a baby blue kind of color. Detach that, sorry, so that it is ungrouped and detached. I mean, you can just go over to the one and you can change your coloring there. And then changing your colors, changing the colors there to say a darker blue, and I might even do this in, I don't know, say a purple kind of color. And we've got this one still as pink, our lines. Our lines are in the pale pink, so I might brighten those up a bit. Instead of changing the tone, I can just come down here and I can then just choose a color like that. And so you've got that, and then you would then put those onto, grab them all together, and you can then regroup these. These are all 3 different colors now, so there's no need to attach those together. I would just then group those together so that it stays in the place. The sizing looks appropriate for that, so I would then keep that there like that. And now I can get rid of my laptop bag because I know that that's the size. All right, so I have this one. Now the next thing I would do, if I was putting it onto the cosmetic bag, I would do the same thing. I would then size that and make sure that I have the right size. And then I would duplicate this one, duplicate what we've got there. I would do it a couple of times if I'm using the same one, same colors, same everything, and put that there like that. and then bring this one in so that it's there for my cosmetic bag, 8 centimeters across. That's close enough. Now the third one that I've got here for my heart motif box, this one here. First of all, it is roughly 20, it's roughly 3.5 inches. I never know what these are in centimeters. So it's about 7.5 centimeters wide. So I'd want to make sure that it fits within the heart. So I would probably make that around about 4.5 to 5 centimeters. So to help me with that and for the look of it, I would get a heart, and I just want to have a look down and see if they've got one that's a little bit, it's got no, it's not rounded at the bottom, but it's close enough. So let's go for the shape and bring in the shape like that. And we know that this is 7.5 centimeters wide. So let's just make that 7.5. That's about how big the box is, right? So it looks tiny there. Make the box in the lighter shade like that. Then we get this, and we're going to make that, I said around 4. So we can pop that on here and have a look and see what the sizing is like, our aspect ratio. And we're going to go up to arrange, sorry, and we're going to send our heart to the back. Then we're going to pop that together, and we're going to align that so that we center our heart with our monogram. Now, if you don't like it that low down, then you can move this up a bit. And then once you've moved it to where you want it to be up there, then simply go around it again, select both of those, and then go up to align and center horizontally, and that will put that in the center of your heart. Okay, so that's what you can see that your heart box is going to look like. With our cosmetic bag, we would do the same thing. We would then measure, our cosmetic bag is roughly around about 24 centimeters by, what's that, 18. So 24 centimeters by 18. So we could do the same thing here. We would unlock, and then we would go 24, and we'd go 18 here. So there's our cosmetic bag, and our cosmetic bag is like a kind of a creamy color. It's not quite white, but it's not cream either. It's sort of something in between. Yeah, so it looks kind of like about that color. So there's our cosmetic bag, and then we're going to arrange and send that to back, bring our SAR there. Now, when I look at that, that looks a little bit small for that, right, for that cosmetic bag. So, but we don't want it too big, so we're just going to bring it up a little. So that's about right. So what it looks like. And we would align that center horizontally, so where we want it. If we want it directly in, I mean, you might want it, you know, you might decide that you don't want it like that at all. You might decide that you want it up in a corner or down in a corner down here, or, you know, wherever it is that you want. Otherwise, you can go to align and you can center that so that it is in the middle of your cosmetic bag. So we've got a cosmetic bag, we've got our little heart in our vinyl, and then we would have our larger one that we would do in Iron-On. So this one here could be your Infusible Ink, this one would be in vinyl, and this one would be in Iron-On. Now, once we've finished that, we would then save our project. So we're going to save that now. And then once we're finished saving, then we're simply going to go to Make It. Hide which ones you don't want to cut first. So if you just wanted to do your, if you just wanted to do the monogram for your, let's say your laptop case, and you're doing that in Iron-On, so then you would grab this one here, that group there, and you would hide that one, and then you would grab this group here, and you would hide that group there, right? And then you have this here. Now, when you go to the mat, you do need to make sure that you mirror each of these different colors that are on the different mats. You need to make sure that you mirror each mat individually, okay? So we grab that there. Instead of doing it like that, what I teach all my students is you can then select all down here of your project, and you can go up to flip. And so there it is there. It's been flipped over so that when I go to make it on the mats, there's no need for me to mirror this simply because it's been pre-flipped. Now, if you didn't flip it, that means that each mat you go to, you need to mirror it. Okay, so not so much for these, but for the first one, yes. And it's a good habit to get into, actually, because a lot of the time you get distracted when you've got so many mats that you need to flip over. Okay, so now then we've got this. We then continue. This one is done in Iron-On. So then I would choose the piece of Iron-On that I'm going to do in a glitter Iron-On. There we go. So now I can then choose our Bluetooth. And then I would choose my Iron-On. And I would choose in favorites. I've got two in the popular. You know, I could choose the Smart Iron-On Glitter. If it's a Smart Iron-On product. If it's your normal everyday glitter Iron-On, I can, for the Maker 3 that is, if it's a normal everyday, I can just type in glitter in the search box and I'll get all the glitter things come up. So I would then choose glitter Iron-On, this one here. If I wanted to save that as a favorite, I could save it over here by clicking the star and then done. And it's telling me to mirror, but when I look at mat number 1, I realize that I've already flipped it, so I don't need to mirror it. On glitter Iron-On, I would definitely choose more pressure. I would remember my material settings because that's what I'll be using for the next 2 mats as well. And then I simply place it on the mat and I'll weed these all out and then I'll come back, okay? Okay, so now I'm at the heat guide, and that's just cricut.com/heat guide. I have an Easy Press 2. And from the Easy Press 2, I'm now going to select my heat transfer material. I'm using a glitter Iron-On, and then I'll go down to my base material, which will be, now they don't have like this, you know, imitation leather type stuff apart from faux leather. So I'm going to choose the faux leather. And then I will have the Cricut Easy Press mat that I'm going to apply. And now it says at 270 Fahrenheit, I'm going to change that to Celsius. So it's 130 degrees Celsius for 20 seconds using light pressure. And it does tell you to then use the preheat for 5 seconds and then bring you down here to our mat itself. So now what I've done is I've measured out my my vertical and horizontal lines there for the measuring. I'm going to put my Easy Press down 10 degrees because it is on, my Easy Press is on, it was 140, and I'm going to take my timer down to 20 seconds. Right, so I've got that there like that. This will come down from 138 down to 130. And so the next thing that I do, so that I get this lined up properly, is I'm just going to take that over there like this. You might have seen this on TikTok. I've actually been doing this for probably around about 40 odd years. And that is to find the middle of both my vertical and horizontal of whatever I'm using. And so I just pinch the edges so that my pinch marks will measure up with my measures on the sides, on each side of my blank. All right, so I've got that there. I'm now going to place this on the top, and I'm going to give it some short, sharp bursts of heat and give it, like, 5 seconds or so. And then I'm going to come up. I'm going to let it cool for a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to go again. And we'll then just go again. It says light pressure. Take it off. Lift it up. Let it cool it for a couple of seconds and then go again. And we want to do this continuously until we have our 20 seconds done. And by doing it this way, you do not scorch whatever it is you've got on there behind. Okay. Now we can take this off. Let's run this back. There. Oh, it's starting to move a little bit there. So I'm going to hold that down. I really want to get that off. Keep it flat. And then place that on there again and go over it again. That's 10 seconds that I went then. Okay, so then when that cools, it'll be straight on there. Now we get this piece, and we're going to put this piece. Is it that piece or the other one? Maybe I'll do the other one first. See where it went to. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Now with this one, you've got to make sure that you get it around the right way. Simply because you've got 2 letters here, 1 letter here, and that's just the way that the lines go. And I am going to do this, get my lines together here like so, and I'm going to pinch that and that, and again this way. Pinch that and then pinch that, so that I basically know where my middle is. So there's my middle there. Come down like this. I've got my middle line here. I've got my middle line there. And then let's have a look at this one, because I might be able to do these 2 at the same time. There's something on that, bit of tape or something. No, I can't. If that was cut out, I would be able to. So no matter. Put this on, and away we go again. Wait till your green light comes on down here. Go this way this time. Okay, so off we go again. Make sure that we get about 5 to 10 seconds. Take it off. Now, putting your Teflon cloth also, it protects whatever you've got around this, okay, which is really, really important to do that. It's very important to protect what's around it. Because you don't want to get your letters on. It looks really good with your letters, but then it doesn't really look good because you've scorched whatever it is that you're putting it on. Okay. Yep. Okay, so we shall wait for that because it's still really hot. Then we can take that off. But in the meantime, I can then cut this to here. This is what you do when you don't want to wait, everyone. You can come in here, cut this away. And then this can go in the center. And yes, that's in the middle of, okay. Okay, that's 10, so we'll take that off and we wait. And then we go again. Now, of course, if you're doing infusible ink, you wouldn't be doing it on one of these for a start, but whatever bag or cosmetic bag or whatever you're doing, you would want to make sure that you keep it in one position. Okay, so don't move your easy press around. By doing so, would definitely bring it so that you could, got to wait for that. You would definitely, with the easy press, do it so that if you moved it around, you're sure to get shadowing on it. Okay, so make sure that you know, wait and just keep it in the one spot. Okay. Let's see how that went. Yep, that looks good. And this one as well. Now I've got a feeling that I may not have cut that through far enough. So let's have a look. It comes off there. Yep. But did I cut it far enough? Or did it? Oh, I think it may have. Let's have a look. Lemons into lemonade. Let's have a look. Ah, good. See, I was able to pull that out like that because the corner of this piece that I cut away was grabbing. And I've got a tiny little piece there that's hanging off my glitter. So we'll cut that off. Okay, so then we take this off and there you have it. There is the laptop case. Now, because we've got just a little bit of an imprint there, I am going to go around it on the Teflon cloth and go all the way around. It's kind of like, you know, when you scorch something with your iron. If you do scorch something with your iron, you would rub lemon on it, then put a little vinegar over the top of that, and then put it in the washing machine. And you'll find that it should come back to what it was. Okay. That's just a really old-fashioned thing that mums and grannies used to do. Okay, so there we have it. There is our laptop bag with our monogram. Okay, so I think it looks pretty cool. So it's just the right size for my little 13-inch laptop. So now I can then take out the bits I had inside, and there you have, and there you go. And this around here, this will go once I've put the laptop and everything in there, and I've had it in there for a while. I can see where it's inside the laptop itself. It's got an actual little crease line in there where they've added some padding. So I'm very pleased with the way that turned out. It turned out really, really well. So now our next thing will be to do our infusible ink and our permanent vinyl. All right, so I'll be back in a minute. I'll just cut those out and then I'll be back. Okay, so now what I've done here is I have cut out my infusible ink and I've got 3 different colors. And so what I've done is I've cut this little piece out of here, out of there, like I did with the vinyl one. I've cut that out of there, and I've cut it out the other end so that I can then pop this piece on top of the horizontal lines. Now, if you do happen to get a little bit of the white area there with your infusible, that fuzzy sort of stuff, don't worry about it, because your infusible is actually deeper than what those lines are. So that means that the infusible is going to touch the blank, but those white parts aren't. All right. So, and now what I'm going to do is I've got this last piece. So I've trimmed this down as well. And then I'm going to pop this on top of this piece here so that I have all 3 pieces together and can put it together in one go, which is what you generally need to do with infusible ink. Okay, if you need to do it the other way because I can't match it up that way. Around about there. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit higher up here than what it is down here, but that's okay. That's all right with what I want to do. Okay, so then I have my blank here, and then this is going to go in the center, all in one piece like this. Okay, and I will do the same thing that I did before, and that is that I will find the center of my blank and just pop a couple of pins in there. Got one up here, and then one at the bottom. And it's just an easy way to make sure that you're sort of in the center of something. There's nothing worse than when you put something, iron something onto something else, or even just sticking it on and you don't have it in the middle. Like looking at a picture on a wall that's crooked. And I don't think that that is, you know, sort of OCD or anything like that. I just think that that's just the way that it is. And for some people it annoys them, and for some people they don't really care. So whatever works for you is good. So now we're going to just pop that there like that. And then I've got my blank here, and I have to be very careful that when I put those, match those lines up together, that it's going to go in the center of those. And it will be the same the other way. Just going to match that up there. And you sort of bend it enough so that you're not creasing it, but you're just bending it. Okay. So then my creases will then look towards that pin there and this pin down here. And my side ones will go to that pin there and this pin here. And that's how we're going to match it up. And then that's in the center. Okay, so we'll do that, and I'll then shift back over to the heat guide infusible ink transfer sheet, And then the base material that we're putting it on is a cosmetic bag, Cricut Infusible Ink cosmetic bag. It is 100% polyester. And then apply using a mat as well. And then my temperature will be 195 degrees. It will be for 60 seconds. So I'm just going to change that onto my easy press. 195, and it will be for 60 seconds. So I can then move my timer up to 60. Just got to make sure that we stay away from the zipper and the seam. I am using a small easy press, so it should be okay. All right, so okay, let's have a look. So we take that one off, take this one off, and that one, and that one. And then we have it. Take this one out. And there we are. Now I've got a mark on that. I don't know what that is, but that was already there. Could have done a little bit better on that line there. So let's have a look how the line turned out. But there's nothing left on the line. So there's nothing left on there. So yeah, that's pretty good. But then again, this particular pattern that I'm using, it's actually called Patterns Distressed Berry, which means that it's got white lines in it all the way along. It's got white lines. If you can see that there's white lines there. So that's maybe where the white lines come into play here. All right. So that is our infusible ink. Right. So we've got 2 of them done there. All right. Now our third one that we're doing will be I'll just move this aside. Our third one that we're doing will be our heart. And we're going to do our permanent vinyl on our heart. I'll just cut that piece off because that's extra. And so we just need to weed that out. And this is done on Shimmer, premium permanent Shimmer vinyl. So there's our lines. They're very tiny, our lines. So there they are there. So we get rid of that. And then we will need our lettering. So we're going to pull that down and have our lettering. So there's our lettering here. I'm going to take that out of there. Take that one out of there. So we've got 2 of those, and they flick everywhere, these things. So just bear in mind that it may flick up on you, and you may be wearing a T out on your glasses for dinner one night. Okay, so there we've got this. And we've got the third piece there. We need to hold that down. There's always one in the crowd, isn't there? There's always one. Okay, so what's that done? Now we use the strong grip transfer simply because the normal transfer isn't strong enough to pick this up. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to then be able to put this on in one go. So now I'll take my transfer and cut that piece off there. And the first thing I'm going to pick up will be these lines. Now, if I'm clever enough, I'm then going to pick these up so that they are level, roughly. Yeah, fairly good. Okay, So this is going to be the bottom of our blank. We're then going to burnish it on the back. We're also going to burnish it on the front, like this. Then we're going to peel this one back, and our lines will stay there, all right? Then our next one will be this one here. We're going to hold this down. We're going to put our sheet there so that when we put these together, so when we're putting this together, we're then going to hold them down. We're going to hold it down with our fingers like I've got here. And I'm going to then put this straight on in the center. No, it's got to go over a bit. Yep, like that. Okay, so we've now got that on. But what you've got to do with this, if you've got a bigger, like a bigger project, always make sure that you've got some sort of backing sheet underneath what you're doing. Because if I had something that was sort of hanging further down, then I would want to make sure that it goes onto the backing sheet on there rather than on the table. Okay, it's the same up here. I don't want my lines then to get stuck to my table. So then you burnish that on and there, like that, same as that. Turn it over and burnish on the other side. Then we're going to peel this back. Keep it low. So now we've got those two on. And now we'll simply place this one on our sheet. And we're going to line up our lines. Our lines are in the right place. Yep. So there we have it. There we've got that there. Now you can see that I've got those are on the backing sheet there. They're not resting on the table. If they were resting on the table on this board here, my cutting board, then I probably wouldn't get them off. Well, I mean, I would if I scraped them off. It's not ideal to have anything that you've got going on the back of your table. So there we have our monogram, and then that monogram is going to go onto our heart. Now, I guess you could peel this off. I guess you could, you know, measure this out like that, but I'm just going to eyeball this one. I've got that there that shows me where to go, and I've got this one here that shows me where to go, and I know that it has to go basically in the center of the heart, like so, like that. Give it a bit of a rub. Finish it down onto the heart in one go, and then simply peel it back like there. And there you have it. Now, you'll also want to put your transfer back onto the backing sheet, because then you can use this one again. All right. So that's the good thing about Cricut, is that you can reuse your transfer sheet over and over and over again. I've got a little bit of fluff on there. Over and over again until it stops being sticky. Okay, so you don't have to throw it out each time you do it. So there is our projects. Now we have the heart, which is in the premium permanent shimmer vinyl. This one here. And then we have our blank of our cosmetic bag. So we've got that one. And then, of course, we've got our laptop bag. So there's our laptop bag, cosmetic bag, and our heart tin. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed watching the tutorial on how to do the monograms on the Iron-On, the adhesive, and the Infusible Ink. all right, on the vinyl, Iron-On, and Infusible Ink. Okay, thanks for watching. This is Shaz from Shaz It Up a Bit and Cricut Fans of Australia. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.